everybody. My name is Sasha and I am here to do my next video, which is dedicated to sex after baby, right? Another topic that, if discussed, is considered very private, of course. And this topic is bombarded, surrounded, slewed with a lot of feelings of guilt and anxiety and shame, fear, and all the things that I want to talk about on this channel. So, sex after baby. First of all, it's going to take time, of course, in the beginning to start having sex, because it all depends on how difficult your labor was and your birth. Whether you had a natural birth or C-section, operation, tearing, injections, drugs, etc. etc. The health of the baby, all these things. So many factors. But physically, you have to heal, of course. So your doctor probably tells you 6 to 8 weeks. You're like, 6 to 8 weeks? What? Yeah. I remember hearing that and thinking, that's crazy. But yeah, your body has to heal. And sometimes you can have sex earlier because you feel ready. And there's nothing wrong with that. You know when you're not ready. Trust me. That penis goes in and it hurts. And it's not enjoyable. There's nothing you can, you can't pretend. But yeah, you have to heal a hole that was this big, that could normally stretch to this big, now had, an entire human baby pass through. And personally, I had some tearing because my baby was born with a cell phone in his hand. And the tearing, yeah. So the tearing hurt, and every time I peed, I had to spray with the water so that it didn't burn, and I had to spray with an anesthetic. So yeah, I actually did have sex earlier than 6 weeks, and it hurt, like I said. And I came back and tried it later, and it hurt, and your partner should, of course, know of your pain and know if you want to maybe slow down, or do just a tip, or he could just please you also. You could please each other without sex. I don't think orgasming is wrong or bad for you. I think that's good to go, unless you have, of course, pain, abdominal pain from surgery. So yeah, let your body be your guide. Your body is so wise. It does not lie to you. Your body tells you exactly how it feels. The mind, on the other hand, has all kinds of stories, explanations, justifications, and will make up all kinds of stories for you. But the mind, the body, doesn't lie. So listen to your body and carry on. Now, the other part of sex after baby is, now that you've had the baby and you've found some kind of rhythm with the baby, with personal life, work, running the home, whatever it is that whatever your situation is, Then there's sex after baby has a whole new meaning. And if you're having usual, sex all the time, power to you. And please share with us any secrets and tips that you have. I'm here to tell the rest of you that you are normal. There's nothing wrong with you. That it is, I guess, how it is. You're dealing with a lot of things. You're dealing with a new world. The world you had and the world that is now are two different worlds. You feel the same. You are the same person, plus a lot of love, extra acceptance, extra flexibility. But I mean that you feel like you like to do the same things. You like to hang out with your friends. You like to, you enjoy the same hobbies. Those things, I'm saying, those things haven't changed about you. Except now, your life has completely revolutionized. And so even though you are the same person, you exist in a completely new level of responsibility, new level of, I should say, probably also authenticity. There's just some things that you don't fake anymore. There's a new level of honesty to yourself. All of a sudden, the little things that used to mean a lot, perhaps they don't anymore. But responsibility, there's a lot of things you have to get in order, So by the time you get together with your partner, you're both tired and just emotionally worn out. So, and somehow you must create desire for each other. And this you must do eventually. If it's not happening, there's nothing wrong with you. But eventually, you must reconnect. Because what is all this for if it's not these connections that we have? A happy mama is a happy everybody. And I could tell from my own experience that mama needs to get some. Mama needs to get laid. It's physical need that we have. Daddy too, of course. So cultivating that energy is really important. Who's got the time for it? I don't know. I don't know. But time we must find. Recently, me and my husband, we've established a date night. It doesn't work out every time, but it's a day when we get somebody to watch the baby, or we have time after the baby goes to sleep. It cannot be interrupted by other things. And that is time for us. And sex is not a requirement. Because none of us, me and my husband, we don't deal well with pressure. So, it's funny, by the way, everyone that I've talked to who has a young baby, and I've talked to ladies who have babies up until 2, and they were like, yep, dry field. It's a dry field. So that's why I say you're not alone. But I wanted to read this from a friend of mine who's actually a male, and I thought it was interesting because I asked him about, how's any advice about that? Things turn from relationship into 2 drones who are just trying to get from one end of the day to the other. exhausted, period. Mapping everything by feeds, naps, etc. Bartering free time slots with each other. It's a 2-year thing before any light, I think. Relationship runs on fumes for a while for sure. Everyone I know in the same boat has been through it. I really needed to hear that. And from a man. I needed to hear that. Because I thought I was going crazy. So, cultivating time, creating time, not putting the pressure on each other, but understanding that this is not only a physical need, it's psychological. When we hold each other, when we're intimate with each other, it's like we're filling up our buckets of I am loved, life is good, all these like buckets of wonderfulness. And when we aren't intimate for a long time, those buckets are dried up. And, find ways to reconnect. I will give you an example. There's a fabulous book called The 5 Languages of Love. And there's basically, this book talks about the 5 languages. One is not better than the rest, but it's just how we interpret love. One of them is, gifts. One of them is acts of service, like wash the dishes, do the laundry. One of them is words of affirmation, like, baby, you look good. Or, wow, what a great job you did with that garage, whatever. And then there's 2 more that I'm not thinking of right now. But in any case, basically it says that we interpret love differently. And a lot of times when we're giving love to each other, physical love, of course, which does not mean sex. It just means like, physical love, touch, hug, massage. But what I did recently was I asked him to tell me 4 things that I can do that he would interpret as love. So if I was to do one of these 4 things, or all 4 things, he was going to interpret it as love. And one of them was, do something he was supposed to do. Like he had a little job, and if he came home and I did that job, whatever it was, he would interpret that as love. It does not mean that I have to do that. It just means that if I did, he would interpret that as love. And then I told him my 4 things. And right now I'm kind of experimenting, but now I'm very aware of how I can give love. It's focused. And I think what happens when you give love to each other is that you're opening up these channels. Like, hey, here I am. Come back. Like this is a way in. Now we are open to each other. But when we're not showing love to each other, it's very difficult to get to an intimate place and boom, want each other. Because you want each other when you're in a good place, yes? Nobody wants to have sex when they're resentful or just down or angry. Okay, so opening up those channels, creating like a date night, creating a special time that's for you, that cannot be disturbed. And also, also understanding that you're not crazy. The blame and the shame and the guilt does no good for nobody. It's just horrible thoughts up here. And do not trust this, because this is always telling you stories. Okay? But yeah, gist of this particular recording is just to tell you that you're not alone. If you're having sex once a week, awesome. If you're having sex every other week, awesome. You know, try your best to create intimacy, to touch each other. You know, I think in general, I wasn't going to talk about this, but in general, women, we're so messed up in our brains about sex. There's so much happening there. There's so many issues that we have not dealt with. And we have to heal. It's not just physical healing. It's our hearts that have to heal. Perhaps it's from our past experiences, but it's also just how we see ourselves, how we see our bodies. And a lot of our pleasure is connected to our brains. Men, very different. Physical pleasure. We have physical pleasure also, but our orgasm is very intertwined with our imagination, with our brain chemistry. So healing ourselves is kind of like number one. Okay, and I'll try to do a recording on healing ourselves, maybe perhaps through meditation or yoga, something that's easy and accessible right there and then. But I will tell you what helped me, okay? There is this thing called OM, orgasmic meditation. And when I discovered it, I did not know that it would affect me so deeply. There's a video online. I could put down the link at the bottom. But orgasmic meditation is basically the woman is lying down. Her legs are open. She's exposed to her man, who is kind of hovering over her comfortably. He's sitting, and he is massaging her clitoris, but also, very, very gently. I mean, he is barely touching it. He's barely touching it. And he does this for 15 minutes. He starts with a 5-minute, just little massage, just to get the blood flowing down there. So around the thighs. And then he touches the clitoris. And in this video, he has a glove on, there's lubrication, there's a stopwatch. And the woman just lies back and receives. Okay? Receives. Which is big for us, to receive. Without giving, to receive. And I experienced that firsthand. I was like, wow, I'm lying there. And in my mind, I'm thinking how I can give back. And no. 15 minutes of receiving. 15 minutes of being exposed and being okay with that. 15 minutes of not having to give back, which means you don't have to make that sound that you think is sexy. I'm not talking to everybody. I'm just talking to, the things that I do, or maybe you do. You don't have to move your body in a way that you think is sexy. You just have to take it. And the mission is to connect to your body in this time, to connect what feels good, to connect to the trust that was always there, but has somehow been taken away or given away. To connect to that source of love and trust and being that somehow has gone, and to heal. It's a healing practice. And when I gave this video to my husband, he was really intrigued and down to give this to me. And it has really helped. We're not on a regular schedule. I'd love to be actually on a regular schedule. That'd be wonderful. But especially when I feel that I'm disconnected from my body, because you're a mom. You got a million things to do. If you're working, you're also working. You're dealing with a lot of emotions and fears and anxieties. You're not thinking about yourself. So, yes, find a way to reconnect to your body, and through that, you will reconnect with your partner. Amen. Amen. And just remember that you are a great mom. You're doing a great job. You're doing all the things that you can do. You're doing your best. That's all you can do. No more, no less. If you do more, you get worn out. And then nobody's happy. If you do less, you feel like, oh, I could have done more. So you got to stay in that place where you're doing your best. Not pushing yourself to the edge. Stay with us, sister. Yes, you're a great mom.